I'm having problems, my problem let me reach out. Looking at this bottle, having nothing but doubt. Don't wanna drink, but it keeps coming around and around and around.
How's it going, guys? Back again with my second episode of this kind of series. Uh, Today, I kind of wanted to talk about being a young adult in your 20s and being sober because I know when I ever thought about getting sober, being sober, I thought that would be it for me, fun wise. And that was, that's a scary thought because as the alcoholic that I was or am, I thought I couldn't have fun without alcohol. And especially with, usually people around this age, in their 20s, a lot of things, a lot of activities revolve around drinking. And that's something that you got to deal with in sobriety. And it's something that I've had to deal with so far. And, I'm going to continue to have to deal with it. But it's kind of really what works for you. It's, it's whether or not you want to put yourself, personally speaking, me being new to sobriety and me being so early in sobriety that I kind of avoid events and activities that are sort of triggers for me so far. So, I won't go to parties, I won't go to cottages, I won't go to, you know, bars. And it's really up to you whether you want to test yourself. If you think you can handle it, then by all means go ahead. But I just know right now I don't want to even take the risk of relapsing. But with that being said, I thought, like I said earlier, I thought that me being sober would mean me not having any fun anymore and me missing out on things and whatnot. But it's just not the case, because once you actually get in sobriety and you realize that you can do some of these things, like I've hung out with friends and whatnot, and it's just so much more enjoyable because I'm coherent enough to hold a conversation and not sound like an idiot, and take in what other people are saying, and remember everything the next day. It's honestly a lot better because looking back now, I just realized that I wasn't even having fun before. I wasn't having fun when I was drinking and doing those activities. I was just getting as drunk as I could be, and that's, I don't know how I thought that was fun, but I guess at the time I did. But now I realize drinking and getting that drunk and acting that way and doing those things isn't my definition of fun today. you know um it's it's still tough going into certain situations and not drinking, especially when everyone is. I went to a concert um last weekend, and that was my first event really that I kind of went to, that there would be a bunch of alcohol and drunk people around, and it was actually probably the best concert I've ever been to, and I had such an amazing time. I went with my girlfriend. I took in the whole concert. I was, present. I wasn't acting like an idiot. I didn't forget anything the next day. It just made for such a more enjoyable experience because, I could just take in everything and be in the moment and stuff like that. And when, I was drinking, it didn't matter about being in the moment. It just mattered about how drunk I could get. And the concert was an afterthought. And that's that was with a lot of activities. It would be focus alcohol first, how drunk I can get, and then whatever I was doing came afterwards. And that's just not, that's not how things should be. But as an alcoholic's brain works, your first thought and your first focus is alcohol, and how drunk I can get, and stuff like that. And it's just, why am I doing these things if the event that I'm at or the activity that I'm doing isn't the first thought in my mind, or the first thing, that I should be, you know, focused on or interested in and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, it definitely is an adjustment because you're gonna have to figure out your limits and where and when you want to put yourself in certain situations if you're comfortable. Um, so it's really individualized with what you want to, you know, take chances of in the beginning, and you'll learn over time as your sobriety, goes on, and you start to learn more about yourself and more about, what you can handle, and certain situations that you can put yourself in. But, for now in early sobriety, my advice would be just, stay away from any type of, environment that triggers you, whether that's, a certain place, an activity, or even people as well too. I've had to cut out some people that weren't like I wouldn't that I had to cut out some people that were huge triggers um in my life, and that's just something that a lot of people in sobriety have to do, because your life really does depend on who you surround yourself with. And I know the people that I had to cut out, when I was surrounding myself with them, I was the worst I've ever been, with regards to my drinking. And going forward in sobriety, that's just, it's something that you have to do, and it's really to benefit you. But at the end of the day, it's for your future, it's for a better you, it's for better health, it's for everything. So it's upsetting at the time, and I'm sure some people don't really understand why I cut them off. But you just hope that eventually they see and do understand why they were cut off, because you're doing it for yourself, really. um so yeah, like, there's really no event, and there's nothing you can't do as a sober person that you didn't do when you were drinking. It's just really up to you whether or not you want to, when you want to do that. If you're early in sobriety, or if you've accumulated a bunch of time, it's really up to you. But like I said, you can still have just as much fun being sober at certain things than if you were drinking. And personally speaking, I think you'll have a better time being sober, because you're just in the moment and you're just experiencing it in a whole different way, a meaningful way, you know, a memorable way. Like, it's just, you have full access to yourself being sober. You're coherent. You can, it's just when I first got sober, or I thought, my life was over, right? I was accepting that my life was over. I wouldn't have any fun anymore. I wouldn't hang out with anybody. But, that's just, it's a stupid, silly fact that, that's what we think in the beginning, because it's just not true. And even in the short period of time, I realized that it's not true. So, but trust me, I understand coming from, being in your 20s and being sober, because, a lot of the time people around this age aren't, sober. And, one of the focuses is drinking. Pretty much everything you do kind of revolves around that, which I've realized. But there's nothing to say that you can't be, a great person and an even better person being sober in those types of things. You don't have to miss out on everything. It's just really what you're comfortable doing, in your sobriety. And, I was at AA yesterday, last night, and I heard, one of the speaker had said that, if I have any advice to give, in your first year of sobriety, try not to do anything, try not to have any major event happen in your life, like, get married, or, buy a house, any type of major event. And that's up to you. By all means, go ahead. But I just thought it made more sense to not avoid those things, because if things kind of, go south, and, something bad happens with any type of major situation that you get yourself into, our first thought as an alcoholic is to drink to, deal with that type of event. And I know that would be my first thought, to deal with, bad situations. And so, the less you can put yourself at risk of, a potential bad outcome, and then using that bad outcome to drink, you just want to avoid that whole thing. So for the first year, I would kind of just stay away from any, getting into any major situation or anything like that. Just be easy on yourself in the first year. It takes time, like people say it's day by day, but sometimes it's take it 1 minute at a time. It's not take it one day at a time. It's like it's less than that. It's take it 1 minute. And trust me, I understand when it gets to that point, because some days are harder than others, and I accept that that's how it's going to be going forward. You just have to learn to deal with it, and you got to learn what works for you. I wanted to keep this episode a little short, but like I said, I'm not going to repeat myself again, but trust me when I say you can have fun being sober in your 20s. I can guarantee you that. And I thought I would never say that. I didn't really before I got sober. There's no chance I would have ever said that. But it's true, and it's possible. If you guys like this video, please leave a like. If you have any questions or want to talk about anything, please leave a comment. Subscribe if you want to see more. I think in my next video, I'm going to talk about being a dad, being a new dad, and being a new dad in sobriety. And, I'll talk about some advice that I can give with regards to that. The last thing I want to leave you guys with is I heard a quote, or I watched a little video. I'll link it in the description, but, the guy was talking about, if someone were to ask me, am I going to stay sober for the rest of my life? And, I don't know. I can't predict the future. But what I do know is I'm going to stay sober for one more day. And that's what I want you guys to do too. So good luck. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.